Now you see some example, simple code. The red ones are the explanation of that code. You are not gonna write as a program, but we are gonna explain. So you see that backslash star begins and star backslash finish. In between everything is comment. So what is a comment? Comment is an explanation to the programmer. Okay. And you can put many lines in between them. But here you see another shortcut for the commands, two backslashes. Why we use for a single line command. So these commands are for the programmer, not the compiler. Preprocessor directives, I will explain in a moment, but you see that the line begins with a hash symbol. Hash symbol. I will explain details later. Here we have the main function prototype. So integer main in parentheses void, you are gonna write all these three words all the time. I will explain in a moment. Variable declaration in mathematics, you know that we use the variables to hold the values temporarily. So in the programming, we have the variables. I will explain in 2 weeks. The statement, this is the instruction, what to do in the computer. So we are gonna provide this statement and the compiler will convert to as a instruction. And when the program runs, it will do something on the screen or the computation. I will explain all of them in a moment. Let's begin with command. So as I explained, this is the symbol for multi-line command. So you can write like that in a code. You can put your commands for the programmers. Assume that you are working in a team, and in that team there are many programmers, and everyone is writing a part of the whole project. So you need to explain what you have done in your part of the or piece of the software. That's the idea. You write this to help your friends or to remind some facts later. Okay. This is the single line command. So you can write the one line after this. So this is the single. But I would like to point out that these commands will not be converted to any object code or the executable code. Okay, they are just for human being, not for the computer. But you just document what you have done in that code. I will give some examples later. As I explained, Emre, the commands will not be run by the compiler. Okay. They are effective. They help us understand the code. Assume that there is 2,000 lines of the code and what they are doing. What this variable is for. This is the explanation to the human being. This is not an explanation, not an instruction to the compiler. Okay. We are not learning Python, we are learning C. Okay. All right. Now, preprocessing directives. Here in the preprocessing directive, we are using the hash here. Okay, hash. And hash means that we are gonna give some command after that. So it will be the directive. The hash shows that there will be a directive after it. In this course, you are gonna use mostly two directives. One of them is include directive. As I explained that, remember the linker? The linker needs to put some things together, right? Object files. So in the include directive, we are specifically telling that which libraries we are gonna link together. I will show some example here. Mostly you are gonna use these: hash, include, less than, standard, input, output, dot, header file, and greater than. When you write this, what happens? You are telling the compiler that you are gonna use another piece of software. The related information is in standard input output dot header file. So the compiler will include this header file to your code. At the link time, this extra code will be combined with your software so that your software can be executable in any environment. Okay, that's the idea. And here you see the second example for math file or math library. So in math.header file, we are gonna see 5 weeks later. There are many useful formulas that we are gonna use. They are all written, they are all ready for us to use in our code. We don't need to write it again and again, but we need to include this header file into our software. So we are just giving this instruction to the compiler by saying hash include less than math dot hash and greater than symbol, so that the compiler understands we are gonna use all the functions in that file. Okay, at the link time they will be added to our code. Okay, I think I already explained. H is for header file. Header file. The file, beginning of the file, header file. Directive means that instruction. You see that? The instruction is included here. Okay? Burakka. So these hash symbols tells that after the hash symbol, there is a directive coming. And directive means command, instruction, do this, don't do this. You can read this hash, include. What I am going to, I will include standard input output header file. Don't read this standard or studio, don't read like that, studio H. It's not studio H. It is standard input output.h. I will explain this 2 weeks later. Don't forget, this is just the introduction, what we are gonna do in 14 weeks. This is just an introduction for this hour. I am trying to explain you what we are gonna do in 13 weeks. Okay, so it's not gonna finish today. We are just starting. All right. Here is another directive, the define. After hash, if you put the define, it means that to the compiler, you are gonna create a constant. I will teach constants 2 weeks later. Okay. Here you see an example. Hash define pi 3.14159. What it means? It means that I am directing to the compiler saying that I am going to define a constant name pi, and its value will be 3 point blah blah blah. So in the code, I will use the pi in my calculations, for example, but at the preprocessing time, compile time, the compiler will automatically convert each pi with 3.14159. Okay,